Today, I am joined by Joseph Lopez to talk about sickle cell disease, what it is, why it's not commonly talked about, and his experiences living with it. Before we begin, in the description of this video, there are links to 4 different foundations that help with sickle cell research. If you'd like to make a donation, any contribution is welcomed and appreciated. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Joseph as much as I enjoyed having it. Thank you so much for watching. How's it going today?
Pretty good. Can't complain too much. Phones at work weren't working today after like around 12 o'clock, so it was a little bit of an easier day, thankfully.
Oh, nice. Did you get to leave early then?
Unfortunately not. They're still like, hey, just because the phones aren't working, maybe you can like go pull hospital records or something. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that for you.
What do you do for work?
Currently, I work at a urologist's office.
Okay.
I've done check-in, check-out. I've done like chart prep, getting all the records and putting all the charts for the next day together. But we're currently short-staffed, so they've had me on phones and at checkout recently.
Okay, cool. How'd you get into urology?
If I'm going to be quite honest with you, they happened to be hiring, and I was on a time crunch, and I really needed the job. And the medical field is something I've always been interested in, and I've always like enjoyed. So I was like, you know what? It's another part of the experience. Let me go see what I can learn.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Are you enjoying it so far? How long have you been there?
I've been here for about 2 years now. I think I make 2 years in December, and yeah, honestly, it's honestly really rewarding and a lot more fulfilling than I found my previous job because I was a an assistant to a real estate broker previously,
Okay.
and that the jump in like actually kind of being excited to show up for work and knowing that I'm like at least helping someone get somewhere like pleasant or where they need to go is a much better feeling than being like, all right, well the market's bad, we're not selling anything, kind of just sit around and see what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah, that is kind of a big jump going from real estate to medical field.
Yeah, it was again one of those just like necessities. I Because first I started off at like a startup that was trying to help in like addictions and being like a peer support community type. Then the kind of whole like startup imploded because of the guy in charge not necessarily being able to provide the best direction, and we kind of technically all got laid off without knowing it until a meeting one day.
Oh no.
And so I was like, okay, what can I find? I found real estate. And then a year into real estate, minimum wage went up by like $1, and she tossed me an extra 25 cents. So I started making $12.25, but I was on disability at the time. So disability was like, oh, you're making more money. Your check's gonna get cut in half. So the math wasn't
No.
gonna work out anymore. So I was like, urology? Okay.
Oh my God. So wait, so they cut disability for a 25-cent raise?
Because it was a 25% raise, it was a 25-cent raise on her end, and then a full dollar raise like nationally or at least statewide, because we're supposed to be by $15 by I think 2027 or something like that. So Florida's gradually raising it like $1 a year, and because that went up $1 plus the 25 cents, any increase they're cutting some, but they were like, oh, that's enough to survive. We can cut
Oh
off half of it.
God. That's so insane.
Yeah, they're not nice. They want you to report everything that you make, and then they were like, "All right." Oh, Social Security tried to tell me I was cured one time. That was another fun one. They tried to tell me that I didn't need it anymore, and I was like, "Ah, really? That's good to know. When are you going to tell me?"
You're right, right. They love to determine who needs it and who doesn't.
Absolutely. And then I definitely got snarky in that, in like the application again. I was like, they were like, so when did you learn you were diagnosed with this? I was like, since birth. My mom did, the amniotic fluid test, and she kind of prepared. So I didn't know I was being cured like you guys told me. So that was really new.
Right. And that's kind of the topic of conversation today is sickle cell anemia or sickle
Yes.
cell disease, correct?
Yes, sir. I have sickle cell disease. There's sickle cell anemia, the most known and most widely had one, and then sickle cell SS, which is essentially the same thing, just a little bit stronger, a little bit worse, technically. And I have been blessed with the stronger version.
And how does that manifest and how is it kind of grown from? Because that's something that you, like you said, you can be diagnosed with before you're even born if your
Yeah.
mom does the amniotic test and everything.
Hmm.
I did a little bit of research and it says like most diagnoses usually are around like the 6 month mark, but
Hmm.
for more severe cases, it can be done, right at birth or right before birth. Um, what's your journey been like? Because the range of symptoms seem to be so broad. Um, has it how has it like manifested over time? Like just kind of tell me a little bit about your
Okay.
experience with it.
So the main way it manifests for me, and it always manifests, has been its pain and kind of being just out of it always. So pain for me is usually centralized to my lower back and my legs. And then um, as the disease itself, the joke around my family technically is I'll never die of the sickle cell disease. I'll always die of whatever it causes, because it might not be. It's almost like a silent killer. It's like stress. I'd like to think of it where it's not the one that does all the damage. It causes other things. So they didn't expect me to make it past 5. Then they didn't make me expected me to make it past 10. So every birthday was kind of a milestone. Um, because at 5, I had my left lung collapse when I was going to be, I was going to actually have a bone marrow transplant to completely um, help try to like cure quote unquote the sickle cell disease. But then I think like a month or two before that happened, I had what's called an acute chest, which is like a pain crisis in my chest that tackled the heart and the lungs, and it took me out the game. My left lung was down. It never restored to full capacity, I believe. So I'm technically running around at like a lung and a half, lung and three quarters of a lung. Um, I've had my gallbladder taken out when I was 7 because it gave me gallstones. Couldn't have like beans and barbecue sauce for a while. And like for seventh grade Joseph, that was devastating. I was like, barbecue sauce was going on everything, and I'm Spanish, so beans are a part of everything. So I was like, you guys are taking away one of my main diet sources. And then another big one that I like to not flex or kind of flex is I had my hip replaced at 19 because when I was a freshman in high school, the sickle cell somehow caused the blood between my hip bones to stop flowing, and they started grinding on each other, and that was a whole nother can of worms. So, but technically, my left hip is the one that looks worse on the scans, like it's more damage done, didn't hurt as much. The right hip was the one that hurt more, so I had that one replaced.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that's kind of like the highlights, like the big sweeping like hits. Like it's a lot of pain, it's a lot of like beaches being tired, and it usually isn't the big thing itself. It's the cause of a lot of other big things.
Right. Right. Oh my goodness. You've been through so much. So you said that every birthday was kind of a milestone. Is sickle cell disease, is that a comorbid? Clearly, it's a comorbidity for a
Mhm,
lot of different things, but I didn't know that it was severe enough to be like a comorbidity, like for death.
mhm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is that
it's it's because it's so genuinely untalked, like not talked about, and so unknown. A lot of and if we don't mind getting too deep, a lot of it plagues mostly Black people. So a lot of medical racism truly does play into it. A lot of people will think you're drug seeking. A lot of people will say, "Oh, you're fine. You look like you're fine." Because I can be at like a level 9, 10 pain, but I'm gonna sit here. I'm not gonna be in tears, and I'll sing along to like Nicki Minaj and Adele because like the breathing techniques help if we're gonna be honest. But to someone who doesn't know that, they're like, "You're fine. You're just trying to get a drug." And that oftentimes leads to people not being taken seriously, and then a lot of hence the comorbidities and whatnot.
wow? Yeah, because it is a physical ailment, but it doesn't manifest in a way that it's like visible.
Correct. It's a very much like an invisible disability. It You won't know it unless I tell you, because even when I like moved in with my first roommate, she one time looked at me and she said, "I didn't know how much effort went into like you and like what you do." And like she's like, "You wear it really well, but that's
Wow.
hard." And I was like, "Thank you. I appreciate it, like that someone can see it, but it's not something that someone on the street or someone at the urologist office. I work with older patients, and a lot of them, of course, older people, their bodies are breaking down and whatnot. They need whatever. I'll to try to like connect or to tell them that I can at least relate. I'm like, oh, I've had my hip replaced. The immediate first reaction, no, you haven't. You're too young. I get that, but like, I can whip out the scar if you want.
Right, right. Wow. Yeah. So that's, I mean, that must have been nice for your roommate to see you in that way. First of all, like that
Yeah.
was very nice of them. Um, but yeah, going your entire life and then to have like these what are supposed to be social safety nets, things like social security and
Hmm.
disability. Not only have you been invalidated by so many people just throughout life, but then also something that you need to rely on financially just to survive. They're just like Yeah, you don't like you're fine. You don't need it.
Yeah, it's, and I think that's the government being the government sometimes, but it's definitely very like it was such a to me I couldn't find anything but comedy in it where it's like the guys who are making the paperwork are gonna tell me that I'm here. I should have known about this a long time ago.
Right.
Whereas like socially and like with people, it can be a little bit depending on who it is in the situation, it can hurt a little bit more because again, it's a lot of them deciding like if it's worth educating, if it's worth even getting into it or whatnot. But the government and Social Security trying to be like, no, you're cured, you're perfectly fine. That's comedy because it's like, guys, you just don't want to give us, you don't want to spend money, and I get it,
Right.
but find it elsewhere.
Crazy. So let's rewind a little bit and go back into what sickle cell disease is. Like
Hmm.
from I guess we can get for I don't know
Like the
how
definition, textbook
yeah,
level
we can get
almost.
into like what it like actually is, like what's going on with
Okay.
the red blood cells and
Yeah, I can explain that.
yeah, that'd be great.
All right, so sickle cell disease is a genetic mutation. It is only possible if both parents have the trait. Um, if someone has the trait, they experience lighter symptoms, but they're not going to be a full-blown patient. So the red blood cells themselves are malshapen when they're created. They're instead shaped like half circles, the sickles, hence. And because of that, they are more sticky and quote unquote sharp, so they can get stuck in the bloodstreams. And because of that, it cuts off flow of oxygen, and that is then where the pain starts, technically. And cuts off oxygen to other parts of the body, and it centralizes in a lot of people have a different specific area. Like I mentioned earlier, mine's is in the back and legs. So that's kind of the base of it. It's the fun fact is that it is a mutation that came about because of African people who were catching malaria too much at the time, and the body found a way to become immune to malaria, but in turn gave us sickle cell disease.
Wow, I did not know that because I know that it disproportionately affects African and Black individuals,
Yes.
but I didn't know the cause of that. So it's a result
Yeah.
of the
It
body.
was malaria. So the fun fact that I was like, I can go to malaria. I can go to Africa and catch malaria or get bit by a mosquito. I'll be fine.
Wow.
But in turn, I have to walk around like this.
Wow, I did not know that. And so with sickle cell disease is it's not all of the red blood cells, right? It's a proportion. And is that kind of what determines the severity of it or
Okay, so it's a portion of it, but eventually, if you're not on like monthly blood transfusions or however often, it'll eventually, technically, all your blood cells will be sickle cell blood, and that's technically when you feel like you're worst, when your own blood is like when your own body has all of your own blood, and that's an interesting thought that I've come to terms with a while ago because I'm on monthly blood exchanges, not just transfusions, because I developed at one point antibodies to the blood that they were giving me. So, like, a regular blood transfusion has become a last resort for me, technically.
so what's the difference between a blood exchange and a blood transfusion?
An exchange is where they're pulling blood out and putting blood in at the same time. So, they're pulling my own blood out and then putting in blood from the blood bank in at the same time. And the way they do it is by putting two catheters into my neck every month, and then they have the dialysis team come in and do it.
It's the
Transfusion
exchange.
would be like a normal like IV of just blood going in.
Okay.
So mine, the exchange is a little bit more involved because it's
Going in and out at the
um,
same time.
in and out at the same time. Yeah. If I ever go too advanced or
No,
don't
no,
explain
no.
anything too well, please don't hesitate to ask.
No, not at all. I want to get like as deep and scientific and technical as we possibly can.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I'm down to get into the nitty gritty.
yeah, so I mean, if there's anything just off the top of your mind that you're like, this is a good place to start with the nitty gritty, or like the floor is yours, truly.
So one thing I touched on it earlier. I think the biggest thing that when it comes to having sickle cell that I think most people aren't even aware of is kind of the medical racism of it all. And it, again, no fault of their own. It's just not talked about. It's not readily known or available. And that in and of itself is a symptom of said medical racism. Um, a lot of people, like we talked about earlier, know that it affects mostly Black people or African American people, but then they also don't know that there's a disease that affects Europeans that come from like the Italian area and the like Western European area. That it's called thalassemia, and it's quite literally the same symptoms of sickle cell and almost the same type of cause and origin. but because it affects a different type of person, has a different type of name.
Interesting.
Um, and one of the like kind of most traumatizing things of like socially like experiencing it and like being there in the moment being like, wow, I'm actively being discriminated against because of my disease. It's two moments. One time I was like 15 or 16. I was in the hospital. I had been there for a couple months. And whenever you have stays, there's always like a rep that'll come around that'll offer you to like a camp or like a community, some sort of resource to try to get together with other kids. And the issue with that is for me, every time we would get so deep into the conversation, they'd sell me on movie nights, camps with doctors around, and we go on group activities and whatnot. What's your diagnosis? Oh, I have sickle cell disease. Oh, you don't have cancer? Never mind. Get away. You're not. You can't do it. This is only for cancer patients. And it's like, oh, so I'm like good enough to be, or I'm sick enough to technically be on the cancer patient floor, on the oncology floor next to these people. Like, I've lost friends to cancer that I've met on the floor, but because I don't have it or because I have something slightly less deadly, I don't get to hang out. And that
Wow.
and like as a kid, that's really confusing to like try to come to grips with. Then uh three experiences that I just thought of. And another time in high school, there's another kid at my high school. He developed cancer. I'm so sorry that he developed cancer. Don't want that on anybody. He got a parade thrown for him, and we threw a pep rally for him, and everybody made a big to do in the newspaper to shave their head, and you had to donate. And if you didn't talk about it, you were given weird looks. But I'm here and people call me weird for being out for like 3 months at a time because I'm sick. Ooh, that felt icky. And like, not to be that guy, but like, yeah, he was a popular white kid who was on the football team. I was a short, nerdy, fat Latino kid that nobody really cared about. I get the difference, but it's like, oh, that's really icky because nobody even cares to ask me questions. Whereas like he showed up and had a diagnosis, yeah, and I feel horrible for that anybody goes through that. But it's like, damn, he got everything, and I couldn't even get like an ounce of concern. That's insane.
Right. It's like the difference in recognition. And it's like you don't necessarily need a parade or like everyone freaking out
Yeah.
about it, but like any sort of feeling seen or any sort of validation of like, especially doing, blood exchanges or transfusions and like all of this treatment that and pain, literal pain that you're going through every
Hmm.
single day. And just to see someone else like receive all of this treatment, you're like, I'm fighting for my life every single day. And like, I just
Yeah.
go completely unseen.
Quite literally, it's like I again, it's not to take away from anybody's moment. He deserved to have that community and support. I wish that for everyone, but it's like, oh man, I'm left in the dust, and people actively said that I was weird, and I there was something wrong with me because I was out of school so often because of how sick I was. But nobody cared to ask what was going on.
Right.
Like, and to me, that's like something that it's like, oh, that's weird. No, and it's still like that to this day. People have a little bit more interest as an adult, but it's like people don't genuinely care, and it's I think partially because they're not aware and they don't know, and it's yeah, sickle cell just again still is hidden. I even think I think there's a couple even like big black celebrities that have it that are kind of ashamed to talk about it sometimes. Like um she was part of uh not TLC. I with Left Eye Lopez. I forget her name. I'll fact check that and I'll send that to you later. But she is known for having sickle cell disease. But anytime she's been asked about it or been like kind of pushed to talk about it, it's like she shuts it down and there's no conversations to be had. And I'm like, oh, I get wanting your privacy and I totally respect you don't have to share anything. But it'd be like it would be nice to have an advocate, like someone in the ether somewhere that is like, yes, this is a person that people can point to and be like, they had that. I can at least empathize with my favorite celebrity who has sickle cell disease. Whereas, like, trying to get people to empathize with me is hard. People are fighting their own battles. They don't have time to try to like take on everybody else's burden, and especially when I have like a Harry Potter's book worth of baggage technically to like take on. It's like I get it. You're not gonna want to read the whole book, but a little interest is nice sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm sure it would be nice to have that representation or like some sort of spokesperson that would come out to say something, any of these celebrities or whatever that may be experiencing it. Why do you think it's, well, clearly, like we've talked a little bit about the medical racism behind it and
Hmm.
how it's predominantly something, a disease that shows up in Black populations. Do you think that the medical racism plays into the stigmatization of talking about it? Like, why do you think someone that would have sickle cell disease wouldn't be apt to talk about it if they have some sort of platform in that way?
I think it's a stigmatization that's similar to the mental health stigmatization that was around, that's still around, but was more prevalent years ago, where it's like, I don't want to seem weak. I don't want to seem like something's wrong with me. And I can imagine people not wanting to take on the burden of being the spokesperson that has to be knowledgeable and be all knowing and has to have the answers for everything. Because it's truthfully, we don't have as many answers as we would like for ourselves. So it's kind of like, how would I be able to face the public who has even more unimaginable questions that I haven't even come up with?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that like part of that destigmatization of whether it is the mental health crisis or mental health conversation in general, or anything really is like if you are speaking about it, you don't necessarily need to have all of the answers. It's more about
Hmm.
just creating that conversation.
Yeah.
Like I don't expect you as an individual to hold all of the answers or the information, but the fact that we're even opening up this
Hmm.
conversation, I've already learned so much just from sitting here and talking to you about it that I would have never known. Like I know that I knew that sickle cell disease existed. I
Hmm.
had a vague idea of what it was. Like maybe we touched on it in biology class or health class or something
Yeah.
like that. And I was like, okay, like the red blood cells are misshapen,
It's
but
your mutation example in biology.
right, exactly. And aside from that, I was like, okay, like maybe it's just like we don't ever talk about the extent of the damage that it can
Of what it
cause.
actually does. Yeah.
Right. It's almost talked about as something as if it's like asthma or something like that. Where
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
like it's something that's like really trivial, like, oh, you're anemic, eat some ice, go eat a banana, you're fine. And it's like
right,
there's a little bit more that goes into it. And
right.
people, and again, it's the lack of education, and it's I'm still never gonna fault the people for not knowing, but it's the way that things are kind of meant to be, and it's I think it's meant to be one of those things that's you just kind of meant to carry. Like it, that's why I think it's the medical reasons and so much. Like whole heart of hearts, I do believe it's because like in my mind, it's quote unquote the black people disease. Black people are meant to be strong. They're meant to be more athletic. They're meant to be their bodies are built bigger. Their bones are stronger. These are all the stereotypes that are supposed to like they don't feel as much pain. These are the stereotypes that are thrown at them and have been levied at them for years. So it's like, oh, it's sickle cell disease. It causes some pain. It makes them a little tired. They got to try a little harder. They're just going to toss it into the next pile just like the rest of them and move on until it affects somebody that they know or care about. And
Right.
even then, trying to get someone to care even more is can feel impossible sometimes because again it's not a cancer and we don't have their favorite celebrity that they can relate to or like a K-pop idol hasn't come out and like spoken up about it or Nick Jonas didn't say he had diabetes and everybody thought he was gonna die.
That was insane. Do you remember that? Like, I remember being a kid and being like, "Oh my God, like Nick Jonas has type 1 diabetes." Like,
I thought it was the biggest thing ever. I remember girls were crying over his diabetes diagnosis. They were so heartbroken. And I was like, I feel for him. He might die. Can we talk about me?
which like obviously diabetes is a very serious thing and
Hmm.
like nothing to joke about, but like the public like,
The
"Oh my
severity.
God, like he's terminally ill, like Nick Jonas has
Like,
2 weeks
why
to
were there
live."
campaigns on Disney Channel?
For real. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I wonder what the reaction would be if like a famous like I don't even know an example, like a famous white celebrity, like if they had sickle cell disease, like I wonder how the
Yeah.
conversation would turn, or like
And
even
that's
some
exactly. It's something I think about. It's like, I wonder if there was like, if like a random white person came out and was like, "Oh, I came out with I have sickle cell disease," would we care more? If like Michael B. Jordan came out and said, "I have sickle cell disease," would we care more? It's questions I ask, but I don't try to dwell on because it's like I got to deal with what's here and now. I got to fight the battles that it's in front of me, and if people want to care or not, I still got to keep on doing it.
yeah. And like you kind of mentioned before, it kind of just plays into just the general racism of like the uphill battle that Black people
Hmm.
have to face is discredited and invalidated at any turn
Yeah,
possible.
exactly.
So it's like, oh, you have this disease that nobody's ever heard about. Like, so, like you're always complaining about something, and it's like not
Exactly.
only
It's
do you
like,
have
oh,
like systems working against you, like all of these external things that are making your life so fucking difficult, but then your body's fighting against you, and then just
quite literally, it's like my back is hurting, my legs don't want to walk, and it's hard to open up my stomach to even eat food. But I
yeah,
still have to show up to work with a good attitude and prove to the government that I do have this thing, so like that I can at least get some sort of benefit.
yeah, and
It's
like
like, where does the fight end?
exactly. And then if you don't like, if you're out of it at work or like maybe a little like short with people, and it's like then you're difficult to work with, and then that plays into different racial stereotypes, and it's like,
Yes.
and then if you're annoyed or like if when you're in pain, it's so hard to be like nice and patient and like bubbly with people, and then people
Hmm.
are like, ooh, like they're aggressive, oh, they're difficult to work with, and it's just like that is also through a lens of racism, and it just like piles on and on and on.
Yes. Exactly that. It's no matter what, it's always like it affects every facet of like the world and life. So it's like no matter what, I have to think about how I wake up and show up and get myself ready to get into the world to even present myself to like put my best foot forward and not let them show that it, like anything that I'm dealing with. But if I do let the mask fall a little bit, I know I feel like I'll get punished and like it's oh I'm not doing as good as I should at work. Oh I can't keep up and do this that and the other. But and I know I'm not at my 100% best and I can feel it because it's like oh I'm coming up on my transfusion, but it's just I can't do anything about it. Just kind of got to write it and hope I don't like catch as much as an attitude as I can kind of feeling.
Right. When it should be met with empathy and like, hey, like, we know you have this
Hmm.
disease and like you're not feeling well, like, but instead, because it's disregarded as an actual disease or is disregarded as like something that's valid, then it just like, it gets thrown under the rug and it's like, oh, you're not showing up, you're missing out on, and it's like, no, like, it's so
Yes.
backwards. It's so backwards. And I think that if more people knew about it, like, I genuinely think that there's just a lack of knowledge, and that does play
Hmm.
into the medical racism and racism in general of like it's not talked about because it is seen as a Black people disease, and
Yeah.
if it affected a wider population it probably would be talked about more, or a different demographic, like we talked about the
Hmm.
disease earlier about like Italian and West European, and like
Yeah.
that even gets more conversation. um yeah, when you're experiencing something like that, to just get harped on even more is like, it's like almost insult to injury at that point. It's like,
It really is. And then like I already hold myself to a high standard. Like I already know how I like to conduct myself. I know who I like to be. So it's like I'm not meeting my own standard. I'm not meeting someone else's standard. My body is kicking its own ass. It's
right,
like, all right, I'm just gonna go home. I'm gonna get through this 8 hour shift. Hope nobody yells at me. Hope I don't accidentally be mean to someone on the phone. And then I'm gonna lay in bed for like 3 hours and contemplate either how mean I might have been or try to move on and like play a video game and try to feel somewhat better before going to bed and redoing it all over the next day until I
yeah.
eventually get my transfusion and I feel alive again.
Is that okay? Well, I do want to get into like the ways in which you kind of escape from it and
Hmm.
deal with all of it. Before we get there, I do want to, we talked a little bit about how it attacks different parts of the bodies depending on the individual.
Hmm.
Do
Yeah.
we know why certain body parts are affected more? Like I've seen that, and you mentioned that it may cause gallstones or
Hmm.
lungs because of the lack of oxygen being carried through the blood. But do you know why like yours targets your back and your legs? Do we know why certain areas
Not
are
to my
targeted? Or
knowledge.
okay,
Not to my knowledge, because I know like some people have to worry about it in their heads because before we turn 18, we get brain Dopplers done every year to make sure that we don't have like a potential stroke developing because we're at higher risk for strokes. So I know some people have it in their heads, some people have it in their arms, some people get it in their fingers. As far it truly feels like it's kind of random almost.
Okay, yeah. So it's just depending on each individual case, it could just
Yeah,
attack a certain specific
yeah,
area.
basically. It's like there's a general idea of like its attack plan or what it'll like harm eventually. Like everybody, it'll if you have it or you know enough, you know it'll eventually like play with your kidneys at one point. It'll tell your liver, it'll do something to your liver. Like to my liver, it made it a sponge and it held everything, all of the iron from all the blood transfusions in it. So you have the the checklist that you have to go through while you're in pediatrics, because once you transition to adult medicine, they nobody's holding your hand, nobody cares, nobody knows about sickle cell, nobody really wants to deal with you. So you kind of have to be very much your own advocate and go through the list and make sure you see your individual doctors to do the checkups because you kind of know that it's affecting everything,
Hmm.
but everybody has their like own individualized like specialty points essentially. So like everybody's going to deal with the chest and the lungs because acute chests, the oxygen's getting cut off by for everybody because of the nature of the disease itself. But not everybody, I don't think, is going to end up getting their hip replaced, and not everybody's going to end up having like their liver being like mine and holding the iron. It's more common, but it's not the only path of that the sickle cell can take.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Like that's so much pressure on you to like not only be feeling what you're feeling and like keeping if you're like, oh, my kidneys are like starting to hurt or like
Yeah,
all of these things. It's like you constantly have to be monitoring yourself, but then to not have any sort of medical anyone medically to lean on, like any sort of medical professional to be like, hey, like there's this going on, and they're just like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
yeah, it's like as difficult as finding a good like therapist, if not even harder, because at least for me, I went through like three different oncologists before I found my current adult oncologist. Uh, one of which even told me he was proud of how well I treated myself because most of his patients who have it who are black don't do that and don't show up. And I was like, never coming back here.
right, right. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I was like, wow, you're gonna say that to me blatantly? Okay,
Right.
cool. Never coming back here. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it's just like not even that's the quiet part out loud for the
Yeah, I
medical
think that's what
professional.
like shocked me the most. I was like, you are fully in white coat in the room with me right now, and you tried to make me one of the good ones?
That's
Ugh.
crazy. It's like there's a little a white hood on the back of the white coat.
Yeah, and I'm in Florida, so not too surprising.
That's crazy. What part of Florida are you in?
I am in Central Florida. I'm in a small town called Deltona.
Oh, cool. Not
I'm like
Daytona.
I'm in the middle of Daytona and Orlando. So if you go left, you go to Daytona. If you go right, you go to Orlando.
Gotcha. Let's get into like how you
Hmm.
deal with everything. Like you talked about getting home from work, 8 hour day,
Hmm.
you feel like shit. What do you do to like combat that? What do you do for yourself? How do you like, manage everything?
All right, immediately, and not even joking, the answer is always starting off smoking weed. It helps the mental, it helps the body, it helps me want to eat and actually consume nourishment. So it's good on all fronts for me. And then from there on, it's like, all right, I'm like a traditional nerd. I'm as nerd as you can get. Video games, anime, movies, you name it. So it's like pick what we're doing that day. So I'll come home like after the 8 hour shift. It's like come home, lay in bed and scroll on TikTok for like 30 minutes, smoke some weed, eat some dinner, watch some anime with my dad because now he's getting into it. So I'm putting him on the good stuff. We'll watch like
Nice.
2 or 3 episodes, and then I'll go play video games until like 10 p.m. And that's my like decompress, my like brain off, my if I'm in pain, I'm gonna take a nice pain pill and I'm gonna like lay in bed and play my Switch, or if I'm willing to sit up, I'm gonna play like a fighting game or whatever the case may be. I'm going to enjoy that time. And if it's not a video game, it's I'm gonna watch TV or I'm gonna read a book or I'm gonna do a little painting. I try to do a lot of I try to find just some I'm trying to find more creative outlets now to at least do something that's not necessarily just consuming. And because I saw a tweet that like changed me a little bit, it said, "What do you do that is not consuming? And what do you create anything?" I was like, "I like to cook food, but I don't think that qualifies." So I was like, I wanted to get back into painting and whatnot, so I'm starting to do that more. And it's just ways to not like turn off the brain, but almost get the brain in the moment instead
Right.
of always thinking about the next thing or trying to hyper focus on my body.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, just in general, people have a difficult time being present in whatever they're doing. And that's without all of the ailments and the pain and
Yeah.
everything on top of it. So, yeah, to have things that bring you back to the present just for anyone is good. But then to get you kind of out of your body and out of like the constant monitoring of like
Yeah.
acknowledging pain, that's great. I would imagine, trying to exercise or anything would be greatly
Hmm.
impacted because,
Yeah. growing up, I growing up I would be approached a lot and asked to join football teams, and it would always be like, sorry, I can't. If I got hit too hard, I'd probably go to the hospital really bad. But now as I got older, I began to develop more trust in my body, in the fact that it's not as fragile and made of like glass like I thought. And so I've started to push myself. I like to go on walks. Running is still a no go because that's a little too high impact on the hips, but
Mhm.
a nice little walk with a nice breeze and some water is a great time. I like lifting weights. Ironically enough, I really like leg day. Everybody says they hate leg day, but I like actually making my legs stronger. Give me a
Mhm.
nice bench press and some squats, and it's enjoyable. But man, the motivation is hard sometimes. As much as I might want to, or as like my brain says yes, my body is like, no, we're laying here and you're
Right.
going to like it.
Right. I mean, I can only imagine with the your collapsed lung and your replaced hip and just the like chronic pain. I couldn't even imagine like getting into the gym and getting under a squat rack or I
It's definitely some days it's a lot harder than some. And then this is where again, full nerd of nerds. Uh, I will truly look to like anime heroes, or I'll put on like a really good song. And I'm like, all right, if Goku can fight Frieza, if Deku can make it through whatever, if they can make it through this, I can lift these weights at
yeah.
least three more times and go home happy.
Yeah.
And that's when like I'll do it. And then it's really trying to keep that motivation going, like especially around the time when I'm coming up on my blood transfusion or my blood exchanges and afterwards. Because leading up to it, it's like I physically feel myself like shutting down. It's like I don't want to get up. I barely have the energy to sit here at work and like at a desk. Do you really think I can? I don't want to get up and go walk around the block.
Yeah. Seriously, I can imagine. But that's also the beauty of things like animes or heroes or shows or whatever is like
Yeah.
it gives us that person to look up to or like we can put
Yep.
ourselves as like the main character and like throw in our theme song or whatever and like
Exactly. It's like I have
go
been Superman. I have been Batman. Like they have pushed me to keep going, and it's gonna sound cheesy, but it's like, yeah, no, I was truly like a 5 year old, a 4 year old in a bed being like, I'm gonna go Super Saiyan and live because Goku told me to. Like
yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog said, I gotta go run fast and like have fun. So
Yeah.
gotta go do that. And like I appreciate that of myself is that it's still inside me. It's like, yeah, no, gotta go run fast because Sonic said so. I can't like sit here and like be mopey and like feel like crap all day and every day.
Right. Because the alternative is like it's not really a choice, with
Yeah.
how severe everything is like if you don't keep up, if you don't maintain, if you don't find ways to have motivation. I find that a lot with people that whether they're aging or have certain diseases or cancers, um, like the mental aspect of it is so important. And it's like
Hmm.
as soon as you mentally check out, that's when everything gets more severe. That's like
Hmm.
when cancer spread. That's when body parts start shutting down. But like
100%.
if you can stay mentally sharp and motivated, like my grandma's 91, and
Hmm.
she's beaten God knows like five different types of cancer. She's
God
had
bless her. That's
massive
amazing.
heart attack. Like she has half of her organs, like gallbladder
Oh,
removed, mastectomy, um,
she's a trooper.
half of her pancreas is gone. She's like, I don't know. Every medical professional is like, we don't
Hmm.
know how she's still alive. Like we take her to the cardiologist, and they're like, medical
She
miracle.
shouldn't be here, but she is.
Yeah, and the thing is always like her mental. Like she's just like the most tenacious
Hmm.
person ever. And like I always tell her like as long as you have that, like we're good. Like your body, her body, she'll get sick and she'll be down for a week or two, but mentally she's still there. And it's like
Hmm.
I know that as soon as that ambition or that motivation is gone, then like the rest of it's going to go too. So like
Yes.
it's so important to have that mentality and whatever you can lean on, whether it's like an
Yeah.
anime character or some sort of superhero or whatever, like just to have something like that is so important. Um,
It absolutely is. Like I, my joke every day at work is I have to act really positive because if I don't, I'm going to swing the other way violently,
yeah,
and we don't want to see that. Like we
yeah,
don't want to see really angry, depressed, like giving up hope, Joseph. Like I've been there, done that. I've met him. I've put him in the box for now because we haven't needed him in a very long time, or the depression hasn't gotten me and brought me back down to that place in a very long time. So I really, if even if I gotta fake it, if I gotta fake being in a good mood and smiling and pretending like I'm enjoying something, I know it's going to eventually spark some sort of real, actual like joy or real laugh. No
right.
matter how much I want to sit there and be an edgelord and like pretend I'm not gonna smile, I'm gonna throw like a funny video will eventually make me laugh, and then the sun will shine again, and I'm not gonna feel as bad as I currently do, or eventually do in that moment while I'm in the hole. And it's that's one of the biggest things that I always thank my mom for. Anytime I had like a big diagnosis, she was like, "You have 7 days to cry and feel any emotion you want. After that seventh day, and we hit day 8, it's time to wipe those tears, put on your big girl panties, and get to work and start actually taking care of yourself because we got a game plan. We got to keep you alive." And I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna go cry right now, but I'll be back.
I love that from mom. That's amazing.
Mom, she, as much as I was in the fight, mom was right there with me. Everything we did, she was just, you would, by technical definition, it's a helicopter parent, but I would know she was just a mom who really gave a damn and really made sure she was going to fight to keep her kid alive because everybody was telling her he wouldn't make it. And
Wow.
she's going to do something. She's going to tell them, she's going to prove somebody wrong.
Yeah.
And I got cheated. I'm still here.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful to have that support system, and it says a lot about her and you, just both of you guys to have that resilience and perseverance
I
to push
appreciate
through.
that. Yeah, no, I definitely can't act like she gave me one of the best and most solid foundations I could have asked for in my mind in tackling this. I can't imagine a much better mentality like to have because realistically I'm not it's almost like it's a job. It's life.
Hmm.
It's like you can always complain about the cards you get dealt, but what you're gonna do with it that actually matters. It's like, yeah, I got a shit hand at the start, but I'm on round 29 right now. My hand is looking pretty decent, and we can keep it going. Why
Yeah.
would I have why would I have thrown in the towel so early on? And I like that. I like being the underdog. I like being counted out and being like, even God can't take me out.
Yeah.
He knew that I would have been too powerful, so he had to nerf me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I'm simultaneously having the biggest ego because I'm like I can challenge God and we'll be fine, but also like the smallest, like most saddest, insignificant person sometimes because it's like I can make myself feel that small. So it's like you have two wolves inside you. They don't make sense, but you'll find balance.
Truly, truly. I I love the two wolves analogy.
That
Like
meme always makes me laugh.
I bring it out all the time. My favorite is I have two wolves inside of me and they're both kissing. Like
I like that one.
I love
I
that. Or like
really
I have
like
two
that
wolves
one.
inside of me. They're making out with each other or whatever. Like
I, I've seen there's you have two wolves inside you. They both have a tummy ache. They're both being brave little soldiers.
Literally today I was gonna post an Instagram story of do you listen to the Marias at all?
I've started to listen to them because I've heard more people talking about them on Twitter and like Instagram and whatnot.
Yeah, they're like one of my favorite bands of the last like
Hmm.
year or two. And they have a song called Come Back to Me. And then they have
Hmm.
another or oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher this. Um they have one that's like Back to Me, and then they just came out with another one called Back to You.
Hmm.
And I was like I was gonna post it on my Instagram story, like the two of them next to each other
The
and be
two
like
wolves.
and like I have two wolves and they're both sad. Like
Yeah, I like that. I really like that.
um yeah, the new one is Back to You, and then is it Come Back to Me? Oh, it's Back to Me is the one from a couple months ago.
Inside you, there are two wolves. Both
Yeah.
of them are very sad.
Yeah.
Both of them are very sad and want you to come home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I like
literally.
that.
Yeah, literally. Uh, but that's an amazing perspective to have. Like I have like one of those like motivational little posters.
Mhm.
It's like right behind my screen here, and it says, "If you can't change the cards you dealt, change how you play your hand," which is just like
I love that.
exactly what we're
Exactly.
just talking about. Um, but yeah, that's amazing, and like I can only imagine for your mom to hear like medical professionals talk about their child, just to be like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably not going to live, and for you as a child to hear that, and for both of you to be like, nope, like that's the narrative that we were told, but we're not going to subscribe to that. We're gonna make it. That's huge. Like I commend you so much for that.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. It's kind of spurred on by the fact that we were always told that we were like that one in a million. So if anything went wrong, they're always like, there's like a one in X chance that it'll go down this path and get even critical mass worse.
yeah,
I was the kid that'll take you down that path, even though it shouldn't have happened in like the past 30 years.
yeah.
For whatever reason, for whatever reason, I'm an absolute fucking menace medically. But as a person, I think I'm very nice and lovely. Like I'm super chill, easygoing, but I'm going to ruin your fucking day medically. So the fact that we were always the one in a million negatively has to roll the other way eventually. So
Right.
yeah, give me like the strongest and most worst and like the worst you can, but like Goku said I could win, so I'm gonna
You're gonna win. You're
win.
gonna show up and you're gonna win,
Exactly.
even
And
if you
it's
do
like
have your
it's
moments.
exactly like everybody's allowed to be weak, everybody's allowed to have their moments. You don't have to be strong 100% of the time, but it's if you show up and if you keep fighting, you're allowed to get knocked down. It's just don't stay down. And my
Absolutely.
mom made sure she never let me stay down. That was again always grateful. She always made sure it was time to wipe those tears, pick up your chin, and get to work because you got to graduate high school.
Yeah,
You gotta get a job. You got to do this. You got to live. And it's like, thank you for wanting to live for me, even when moments I didn't want to live for myself.
absolutely. Shout out to mom. That's
Shout out to
amazing.
mom.
That's amazing. Now, so sickle cell disease is passed out genetically, and it's if you get the recessive from both parents, correct?
Yes,
So, do either of your parents have it, or they both just carry that recessive gene?
they both just carry the recessive gene. They both just have the trait. And my mom knew since she was younger. My dad didn't know until like I think either he entered the military or until he met my mom. And because my mom, God bless her, if whenever she met a man that she was interested in and they were gonna go any further, she was like, blood test. I need to see what I'm working with.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he was like, oh, I have the trait.
Wow.
So they technically went into it. They went into it knowing, and they were willing to roll the dice. Because even after they did the test, my dad actually just told me the story recently. They were like, the doctor was like, "Yeah, there's a chance, or there's like a basically guaranteed chance we'll be born with this, and this is what it does. It could be fatal. Do you want to terminate?" He said they looked at each other, they took a beat, and they were like, "No, we're gonna keep doing this. I want to meet him."
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing because that would deter so many people, um, even getting into
Yeah,
anything, but then being presented with that option. But that's beautiful for both of them to be on the same page of like, no, like we're going to go through with
yeah,
this, and
and they both said at different points of telling me these types of stories are like a similar story. There wasn't much hesitation. Like they were, my mom, she loves the kids. She was gonna make sure she was gonna meet every single one of them.
yeah,
And my dad, I'm his first. He was gonna make sure that he was gonna meet me. He was very interested. He wanted to know who was in there. And I was like, all right, we gonna fight this fight together then.
yeah, and like even if the probability was low, like you said, like whatever medical gamble is,
Hmm.
whatever the probability is, you're probably gonna get it. So it's like it
Yeah,
seems like that's just been like the destiny from
we're just gonna roll the dice every time, and however it plays out, we're just gonna make the best of it no matter what.
yeah. That's kind of amazing. That's a beautiful story.
Thank you.
And you're here to tell the tale and thriving.
It is. It's interesting. It's as an adult, genuinely, who's turning 30 in next year. I turn 29 next month in November. Um, it's interesting because I was a kid who like didn't think I was gonna see past high school.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was fighting the fight to stay alive, and I wasn't giving that up. But at the same time, I was like, no, it's gonna win at some point. Like, I'm not gonna make it to 18. They've told me enough times. that the chances are pretty low. So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna fight till the end, but pretty sure it's gonna take it before I get to like really live. So, oh, and it tried. 2019, no, 2015 was a bad year. I spent like 300 days in the hospital out of the
Wow.
365. Went through a little stint of addiction because of the morphine that I was on while I was in the hospital the entire time. It's a whole shebang. um, and like truly, I was in the hospital. I was doing okay. They were looking like you might be able to leave in like a week or two. My sister finally went to go home to grab some things and take a shower, and within seconds, I don't even know what happened or can't describe it. Like I just felt like burning and pain in my chest, and next thing I know, 20 nurses are in my room. I'm getting rushed to the ICU. Um, Not to say I died, but my mom was preparing my best friend who was in the military to come home just in case, and she was getting people ready to come say hi or bye or just in case, from what she was being told. And I was still in peds technically, because I was allowed to be in peds up until 21 as long as I was in school. And my peds doctor at the time, to this day, was never able to give me like an official diagnosis of whether it was like a heart attack or something. But it scared him so much that even though he was still technically my doctor, he stopped seeing me during my appointments. He would send in the nurse practitioner. Like genuinely, he stopped talking. I got ghosted by my doctor because I scared him so much. So I don't know what happened. All I know is that genuinely, and this is why I think I'm not gonna say I died, but I'm not gonna say I didn't. I had some of the best, warmest sleep I ever had in my life. I felt so comfortable. I remember my sister waking me up being like, "Hey, baby, they're gonna do something real quick. You want some music?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Hoodie Allen or Nicki Minaj?" I said, "Give me Hoodie," because those were like my two favorite artists at the time. She put my earbuds in. I said, went right back to sleep. I woke up at like three something in the morning, and I just opened my eyes, and George Lopez is on the TV. My dad is on the couch next to me, and I'm like, I don't know what happened, but I think I'm back because George Lopez at 3 a.m. feels like I'm alive again, and it's my favorite show still, but it's like, yeah, this feels like I'm back. And I'm like over him, I'm like, Bobby, you there? You awake? And he's like, and he jumps up. He's like, "Are you okay? You good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I
Oh
gotta use
my
the
God.
bathroom." And I stayed in the hospital for another however many days or whatever. That's also the year I got my hair replaced. But yeah, to this day, don't know what happened. Medical professional never told me, and he ghosted me afterwards, so I'm never able to really figure it out.
Oh my God. See, I would have thought I was dead if I woke up to George Lopez playing at
I thought it
3
was heaven, right? Like
a.m. Because
surrounded in like kind of an all white room with like low lighting, and George Lopez is like the only thing that's like kind of
like
right in
jumping on
front of
that damn
you.
trampoline, it's like low rat, and you're like, I'm
Exactly.
fucking dead.
I'm like, all right, so either I'm really alive or I'm really fucking dead, and they know what I want. Like, how did you know that this is one of
uh,
my comfort shows?
they're playing George Lopez in heaven.
If that's what's playing when I walk in, I'm not complaining.
That's so funny because that's such like a when you're a child and you fall asleep on the couch and you wake up in the middle of
Universal
the
experience.
universal experience. So for you to like come back to life, you could say.
And it's literally George Lopez. Absolutely. I was like, for a second, I was like, dead or alive, can't tell. I was like, looked to my right, saw some like the hospital machinery. I was like, okay, I'm back. I was like, all right, okay, Bobby.
That's so insane. Oh my God, that's so funny.
George Lopez, the Herald, the Herald to the nether realm and beyond and back. Apparently,
Oh, I can't. That's taking me out. Oh, I can't even imagine just like hearing the theme song and just being so dazed and confused and
no, truly, I just what's that? And I'm like, all right, is that actually George? Oh, it's George Lopez. Okay, where am I?
and that's insane that you don't know what happened. It just like you just lost conscious, like you got really hot and lost consciousness, and
Like
then
I got hot, my chest started burning, there was pain when I was breathing. They put an oxygen mask over me, and I'm assuming they gave me something to knock me out because I went out and under pretty quickly.
wow, that's that's so insane. And I mean, thank God you survived.
Yes.
That's yeah. what's been, and we don't have to get into this if you don't want to, but
Hmm.
since being told from such a young age that you may not make it to this milestone, or people
Hmm.
that have whatever you have don't make it to this age or whatever, what has your like relationship been with that, being told that your whole life? And like obviously you've had this mentality of I'm gonna fight, like I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna show up, but
Hmm.
being told that you might not make it, how is like your perspective of life and of death, and like has there been grief or acceptance? Or because I have a really hard time with the idea of death and like talking about it, and like I'm even nervous to like
Hmm.
broach this conversation at the moment.
Hmm.
But like from being told at such a young age your whole life, what's been your relationship with that experience?
Quite frankly, death, though me and her are really good friends and have touched toes a couple times, terrifies the absolute shit out of me. And truly, if I sit there and I think about it long enough, I could like, I think like everybody, you start to spiral at like that 3 a.m. point where you worry
Yeah,
about what happens afterwards. I can get there real fast if I really let
yeah,
myself, but it's it's weird because I'm both comfortable with it, like, and I know that it's always around and it's always a possibility, and to never necessarily take any like anything for like just a routine. Don't don't just assume anything is small. Always assume that something could be something because it could be the end of something if I'm not vigilant enough. Um, but I have such a love for life, despite despite like saying how much I hate like being alive sometimes, and like how much like the passive suicidal ideations don't want to be so passive sometimes. Uh, I never actually will pull that trigger because not because just of the fear of like doing it because oof, but also I love life so much. I it's a joke, but I never ever thought of doing it, or I never went through with it, especially as a teenager, because it's like I gotta wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 to come out. I can't live in a world where like I die and I don't get to play it. So it's like so many little things like that to someone that's like it's so insignificant and it means nothing. To me, it's like that's always the motivating factor. And it's so
yeah,
many little motivating factors like that that's like I see the beauty in the world. I love life. I love my simple, quiet life. I really do just love do like being a homebody. I love playing my video games. I love reading my books. I love talking about the intricacies of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise with other nerds who want to go into it. And I also like I I feel so sad when death happens because I think being alive is such a gift and such an honor, and it's truly such a it's an experience that obviously you'll never get to have again. But it's like wow, it's so beautiful. And I'm sorry you're not here to experience it anymore, but also like I'm sorry you were taken from us sometimes. And I know it's going to happen to me one day. I I've gone from being told I'm not going to live to everybody now telling me I'm going to outlive everybody. So it's like I can't win. It's either I'm gonna die before everybody and make you guys sad, or you're all gonna die before me. No, I don't like that. I don't like either of these options. But then I don't like death. I don't. I'm such a baby. I don't like the end of things.
Mm,
There's certain like books and like shows that sometimes I will be afraid to literally read the ending or even like finish the game or whatever because it's like, oh, I don't want it to end.
yeah,
Like I genuinely, there was a new anime that I was like a manga series that I was reading earlier this year. I have 20 chapters left. That's like less than 100 pages. I haven't finished it because everything was ending at that point. Like so many series I was reading and watching started ending. I was like, I need something to
can't
not
deal,
end right
can't
now.
deal.
Exactly. I was like, this is too much. Abort, abort. So the big end of death scares the hell out of me, but I know it's there. And if it's anything like what happened in 2015, I don't fear it as much as I think I used to. But that doesn't mean I want it. And that doesn't mean I'm ready or excited. I don't think I'll ever will be ready for it. Because unfortunately, or very fortunately, I love this hellhole that we're on. I love all the people on it. They might not love me all the time. Some, depending on who you ask, they don't want me to have rights, but that's neither here or there.
Yeah,
But I love them for having those opinions and being alive and experiencing the world in the way they experience it, even though sometimes it seems sad the way they want to experience it. But I couldn't imagine, like, obviously, I couldn't imagine not being here, but it's like, what do you mean I don't get to see like the next new pop star that's going to be around in like 21 whatever or however long? Like, I don't get to see the cool things anymore. I better have streaming services in heaven so like that I can keep up with what's going on. Like, how do you yeah, that's what I just life is cool. The world is cool. So much shit is cool. I don't want to die because I want to keep experiencing it, but also she's there. We're we have an understanding of each other. She's not coming for me anytime soon, and if she is, she can keep trying. She's failed.
Yeah.
Keep failing.
She keeps knocking. She keeps knocking.
She keeps knocking. She's at my window, but it's like I'm not answering.
She's like, "Hey,
Like I let you in
girl."
for cookies one time, and you like really tried to take me. I thought we were better than that.
She's obsessed with you.
And it's like that's cute, but go find someone else. I don't want to be your friend right now.
So much of what you said resonates with me like so deeply, like from not finishing shows or books or
Hmm.
whatever, just because I'm like, "Ah, I don't want it to end." And like I always tell my friends, I'm like, well, like I'm gonna outlive all of you. So like
Hmm.
because like, well, I don't know, we'll talk about death or whatever. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
at your funeral, like I'm gonna be so sad at your funeral. I'm gonna be so sad at everyone's funeral because I'm gonna
Hmm.
outlive everyone. Like I will be at all of my friends' funerals because I
Yes.
will be the last to die
I
because I'm
will be
not
the
dying.
purveyor of the grief.
Yeah, I'm like, give me all the grief. I will
Of
collect
like,
it
let me
all.
be the one to take it so they don't have to deal with it. And
Yeah,
it's like, is that masochistic? Is it like a hero
in a
complex?
way.
It's we can deal with it later.
In a way. I was
I'm
like,
outliving you guys.
I was like, trust me, I can bear it. I can bear it. Like, and it's just all rooted
Exactly.
in the fact that I'm so deathly afraid of death. I'm like, I'll
Exactly.
brunt all the grief in the world to not die. Like, I would rather
I
be
like I'll
feeling
I'll
grief.
take that responsibility for you guys.
Yeah, I'd rather be feeling all the grief and sadness and loneliness than nothing at all.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. And like that, like you said, like whether it's the Kingdom Hearts 3 or like the next pop star, like it really is the small things. And it's such a cliche to be like,
Hmm.
oh, it's the small things in life, but like it truly,
It
truly is
really
like the
is.
small things. Yeah.
Like I put Kingdom Hearts 3 kept me alive for years because they announced it 10 years too early. So I was like, thanks guys. Gotta stick around until I see this through. And then it's like uh I'm I'm caught up on both One Piece and White Woman's One Piece Grey's Anatomy. So it's like
White woman's
I physically cannot perish from this mortal coil until I see both of them end. Like
until the One Piece is found and
until
McSteamy, I
Meredith
don't
Grey
even fucking
finally
know.
leaves, like, or the hospital is completely eradicated in some post-apocalyptic storyline that went too far. Finally,
They'll probably stretch that out too far too. It'll be like great
and
after
it'll be a
Grey's
spin-off.
Anatomy. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and even then, I won't be able to give up because I have Stockholm syndrome. I'm attached.
That's amazing. Well, I had such an amazing time talking to you, Joseph. I learned so much about you, about sickle cell
Yes.
disease. Are there any foundations that you know off the top of your head? If not, I can find some and link some in the description. But if you have any
Um,
off the top of your head that you would like to present,
I know that the first ones that I always use and try to shout out as a community, they are called the Sickle Cell Warriors. I believe you can find them on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok under that name. It's just like a centralized hub and like a centralized community where people with sickle cell try to like meet. It's like kind of the title that was, I don't know who gave it to us, but we are warriors. That's, and I'm not gonna complain. It's kind of cool. Um, there's also the Sickle Cell Research Foundation. I know they're on Twitter as well. Um, I have more that I can also link you if you'd like.
sure.
But those are the only ones that come off the top of my head at the current moment.
Yeah, that's amazing. If you think of any others, feel free to send them to me and I can look at some as well. But
Absolutely.
I just want to link something in case anybody wants to donate or anything like that. But
Yes.
yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
of
Thank you for having
course,
this conversation. Thank
of
you for being
course.
willing to learn. Again, I'm always excited to educate and try to talk to people and spread the word. So thank you for being interested and thank you for giving me this opportunity to like share my story and talk about sickle cell disease and
Of course.
share some light on it and do the work that I think needs to be done.
Thank you so much. I learned so much. I had so much fun having the conversation. I think there was so much good information. I appreciate you being willing to to dive deep on certain things and get technical at times. And
Yeah, of course.
yeah, I just really appreciate it. So thank you so
Of
much.
course. Anytime you want to talk, I'm always down.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll chat soon.
Yes, sir. Thank
All right.
you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. You too.
Bye.